We're going to call the Star City Council meeting to order. It's Tuesday, August 1st, 2023 at 7 p.m. at the Star City Hall. I'd like you all to please join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Thank you. And we have our invocation tonight by host coordinator, Mr. Harold Wiley from Life Spring Church.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and fellow council members. Thank you very much.
Okay.
I want to thank you on behalf of Life Spring Church to use our church as you need to. I want to encourage you in the future to please do that. We have it out for everyone to use for legitimate purpose, I guess you'd say. And we're glad that you've used it and look forward to using it in the future. So we really look forward to that. So shall we pray? Holy Father, we love you today and tonight. We ask you to be with these council members as you discuss issues and make decisions that are very important for our city. We ask that you help them to have good, logical discussions without personal gain. God, that is the best for our city, that our city can grow. Having only been here a couple of years, it's a wonderful place where so many people want to move to. And I ask you to keep your hand upon them as they discuss issues, that they come to the right decisions and leave all their opinions outside when they come in, and they can pick them up when they leave. But they have objective discussions here tonight. In the wonderful name of Jesus, amen. Could I say one thing, Mr. Mayor? I saw a survey, you might have saw it, was concerned about people coming to this area. So great article that came out. If you want to drive a U-Haul truck from here to LA, it costs $640. If you want to drive one from there to here, it's $2,400.
Right.
Because they can't get their trucks back there because everybody's coming this way.
Right.
So anyway, I thought it was an interesting tidbit I saw.
There's a lot of U-Hauls on the road, that's for certain.
A lot of U-Hauls on there.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Roll call.
Trevor Chadwick,
Here.
Jennifer Salmonson,
Here.
Kevin Nielsen,
Present.
Kevin Wheelock, David Hershey.
I'm here. Kevin's here too. I was just talking to him.
Okay. Via
Dana,
Zoom.
that says the recording's paused.
Hello, I'm here.
Okay, there we go. We're good. Okay, so just for everybody's record, Councilman Hershey got called out with the Forest Service fire stuff, so he's trying to participate remotely. We may lose him at parts of this. Councilman Wheelock is driving back from out of state participating, but he will be here at some point, just so everybody's aware of that, okay? All right, we'll move on to item 4, the consent agenda.
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen.
First of all, did we get the recording going?
We're good.
Even
This
though
is telling us it's paused, but we're good. Okay.
it's fine. Okay. Mayor Chadwick, I move that we approve the consent agenda consisting of items 4A, pending and paid claims to be approved, and 4B, findings of fact and conclusions of law for Dude DeWalt Winery annexation.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Councilwoman Salmonson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Nielsen,
Aye.
Salmonson,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Hershey.
Aye.
All right, that motion carries. Thank you. That actually worked. I'm pretty impressed with that. Then we're gonna move on to item 5, the public hearing. I'm gonna talk about the budget here tonight for this upcoming year. Then we'll have some public participation for those of you that are here in the audience, if you choose to want to speak. With that said, it is 7:05 and I am going to open the hearing. I'm going to come up here to the podium so I can, do you want to sit over on this side? Yeah, it's just so, because I'm going to talk with my. All right, can you hear me? Off of
Yes.
this, you can hear me? Okay, good. All right. Very good. And then Ryan, you're gonna pull up the PowerPoint on that? Okay. Okay. All right, this is the first year we get to use our new systems with this. You realize that? This is awesome. It's the PowerPoint, not that one. Yeah. Yep. Oh, yeah, and I need a clicker too. Thank you. All right, we good, Miss Dana? Okay, so tonight we're here to talk about the 2023-24 budget. Thank you, everybody, for coming tonight. I'm going to tell you, there's many taxing entities here in our valley that do not have anybody that shows up. So Ms. Teresa is a longstanding member of the budget stuff, which is awesome. So, all right. We're going to talk a little bit about reliable income versus mandatory expenses. There is a packet that looks like this back outside on the table if you don't have one, if you would like one. That helps explain all that. So we have pass-through income and pass-through expenses, which are impact fees and proportionate share. So sorry. My apologies. I've already screwed this up, Kevin. Can't believe it. We're going to talk about reliable income versus mandatory expenses. We have 4 sources of reliable income in our city. One comes in the form of property taxes, which every property taxpayer in the city of Star pays. We have revenue sharing, which comes from the state of Idaho. Revenue sharing is a split of some of the property, or excuse me, of the sales tax that gets paid to the state comes back to the cities and counties. And then we have liquor revenue. Based on the amount of liquor that is sold, we get some of those fees back. And then we get franchise fees from a few entities. Those items in reliable income have to pay our mandatory expenses, which is our police, our animal control, legal, city staff, and our liability insurance. So we have pass-through income versus pass-through expenses. Impact fees and proportionate share agreements make up most of those pass-through income and pass-through expenses. We have a Star Parks impact fee, an Ada County Highway District impact fee, a Star Fire District impact fee, a Canyon Highway District 4 impact fee, and we have a proportionate share agreement with the Idaho State Transportation Department, which we're utilizing right now to widen Highway 44 out here, which is about an average of $1,000 for every new house that's built. And we'll talk about that here in just a little bit. We're very healthy financially as a city. We have approximately $21 million in our bank accounts currently. Our savings and operating accounts account for about $16.5 million. Our park impact fee account currently has about $1.9 million. Our ITD proportionate share account has about $1.9 million as well. And then we've added this police mitigation and fire mitigation fees, which are specific to those, where we have currently about $483,000 in the police and $518 in fire. So our revenue side, property taxes, we are looking at doing the full 8% increase that we can do all through new construction. We're not taking any of the 3%. All the new construction that has happened in the city of Star is going to help fund our police. We use all of our property tax revenue to pay for our police plus some. Okay, so it's about $1,869,000, and we levy that against about $2.6 billion, I believe, or $2.7 billion in taxable value in our city. So it's a very little amount that we put towards property taxes. We currently have a foregone balance still of about $663,000. That's monies from the past that we have not ever taken as taxes. If you think about it, we could have had, as a city, the $663,000 added to that 1.8 over the period of last 25 years, and we have not taken that. Because of House Bill 389, we're not able to realize that except for 1% a year if we need it, or 3% for capital expenses. So it's very little money. We choose not to add any more to that foregone. It doesn't do any good because you can never recover it in this current environment that we're in. Here's some examples of property tax, residential property tax examples from the last couple of years for one property or 2 properties up there, and this current year, the estimates. Some of the interesting things for the city of Star over the last 3 years, excluding this year, we've seen some incredible valuation increases in our residential properties. This last year, we've seen a decrease in a lot of the areas of the city of Star. There's some areas that did increase a little bit, but a lot of areas decreased quite a bit. On the flip side, on the business side, a lot of business valuations went up quite a bit. So we're starting to see a swing of tax burden on our citizens. If you look on here, Star is only one of You look right there, one of 11 or 12 taxing districts, depending on where you're at in Star. People south of Highway 44 have an extra taxing district with flood control 10. Those that are north of 44 don't have that. So we're just basically 1/11 or 1/12 of your tax pie. Usually we're right around 4 or 5. And the amounts, your West Ada School District, Ada County are usually towards the top in Ada County Highway District on how much that you pay towards your property taxes. We anticipate to see, if you just look at City of Stars, most residential units are going to see a decrease in how much you pay this year because of the amount of new construction that was added to the rolls this last year. Okay. Same thing on the business property taxes. We did have a lot of businesses come into the City of Star over the last couple of years. I mean, a bunch, right? So we've been sitting at 93% to 7% tax burden, 93% residential to 7% commercial and ag. This year, we're sitting at 88% burden on the residential to 12% burden on the commercial and ag side. So it's starting to go in the right direction for the residential property owners. Okay. More on revenue sharing. We're going to get about $1.5 million from the state of Idaho. Again, this is, they take 11.5% of the sales tax and split that up between cities and counties based on your populations. And so when our population increases, we see an increase in revenue sharing. This last year, I think we're about 1.2 million in revenue sharing. And this year we are at 1.5 million that we are anticipating to get. Liquor revenue, on the other hand, is going to go down a little bit. We had 129,000 last year in liquor revenue. This year it's 122. It's because of the way the state started to fund some of the magistrate court systems out of some of this funding. So everybody got a little bit less of the pie this year. As our population grows, you'll probably see that start going up some more as well. Okay. Franchise fees. We get franchise fees from trash, from power, from Sparklight. I keep wanting to call it Cable One, but it's Sparklight, and from Intermountain Gas. State statute allows us to charge up to 3% with an agreement for franchise fees. The only one that's an anomaly on there is our trash. We get a 7% franchise fee because of an agreement we had previously in place in 2000. So we get about $284,000 in franchise fees is our expectation this year. And you all pay that. I don't know if you guys see that on your bills, but it shows franchise fee on your bill. And you're paying that franchise fee to these organizations to pay it back to the cities. This little chart here shows you reliable income growth over the years from 2019 up until today. If you want to take a look at that in your packet, it kind of shows you those 4 areas of property tax, revenue sharing, franchise fees, and liquor revenue on there. Additional revenue that we get, some of this is that pass through, is we're anticipating 500 building permits this next year. So first of this last budget year, our budget year starts October 1 and goes to September 30th. So last October, we did see a slowdown in building permits in Star and all over the valley. However, we're seeing an increase in building permits again. We're up quite a bit. We're projected to have about 550 building permits this year. But we're going to base our budget off of 500 this next year because there are some indicators that are saying it may slow down a little bit all over the place. Okay. So this impact fee is $500 based, $500 by 3,000 something impact fee for Ada County Highway District. The Star impact fee is 500 times 2,050. Star fire impact fee is $809 times that same 500. I'm sorry, ACHD, we did 450 and we did 50 of them in Canyon Highway District 4. So everything on the west side of Canyon Road is Canyon Highway District 4. Everything on the east side of Canyon Road is Ada County Highway District. Okay. And this right here kind of gives you some ITD approved proportionate shares. We have $6.6 million committed. I think that's $6.6 million committed to the proportionate share here in Star. We've collected 1.9 million of that. So that money is going to be utilized on that spent on that Highway 44 project when it's all completed to be transferred over. So we collect those fees every time a final plat is signed on a project. We get it up front. We don't wait for a housing permit. This agreement is if it's a 100-house development and there's 4 phases of 25, each time the final plat in each of those phases is signed, they got to give us $25,000 for that, so we can get the money up front to get these improvements done. But this shows you all the developments. The yellow numbers, you'll see, for instance, on Canvasback, we're committed to get 188,000 for that. We've been collected 108. That's because not all the phases have been final platted on that project. We'll get those later, okay? Revenue, building and land use fees. So we have building fees, building plan review fees, and these are fees that are established by, what is it, the International Code Council, I think, or Building Code Council, that says how much we can charge per square foot. We did discover this last year on the building plan review fee. We were not charging that fee in the city of Star. And we found out that we've shortchanged ourselves in the city for many years, about $700,000 in fees. But we discovered that the BCA has said to us in the past, members have said, you're not charging everything you can charge, but would never tell us what. But we did some investigating and found this fee right here. Electrical fees, 156,000, plumbing fees, 156, mechanical fees, 174,000. Land use fees are when an entity comes in and wants to annex, do a zoning change, vacation of easements, they pay different fees, which goes into the land use fees. So it's about 120,000, and bonding about 200,000. That number fluctuates. It's all depending on whether or not a project has to bond for landscaping or lights or whatnot, depending on the time of the year before they get their final plat signed. Then we have some general licensing fees. We have dog licenses and fees, about $3,500. Vendor licenses of $2,400. Alcohol beverage licenses. So every time we issue a beer and wine license or an alcohol license to one of the businesses here in town, it adds up a little bit. I think we have 10. How many total we get? Liquor. Yeah, we get it's all based on your population, on how many hard liquor licenses you get. Everybody that wants a beer and wine license can get one, but the hard liquor is limited in the state of Idaho. Park reservations, about $10,000. Facility rentals, about 16. Interest revenue, we've done a good job with the interest rates going up of collecting a lot more interest revenue than we have in the past through some of our local government investment pools. And then we get donations as well, about 9,000. Grants and events. So we've applied for an ITD police grant. We were hoping to have an answer today, but they didn't answer back on that of about 120,000 we're expecting to receive. We're working on some park and pathways grant as well for 50 grand, another fiber grant for about 50,000, and a transportation planning grant for about 50,000. We did collect already. So this number is already, we didn't realize we're getting it right now. We just got it this week. The Star Middle School and Pathways Grant. We applied for this a couple of years ago, I believe, to put this pathway to the middle school to get the kids off the street. And we were just awarded by LTAC here in the state of Idaho, just out of the blue, which was awesome. Right. So we got the $250,000 for that. And the hometown celebration, we try to raise money through different partners in that of about $55,000. Our sports and recreation programming gets fees. Our sports fees, we're anticipating about $97,000. Our recreation and camp fees of about $113,000. We do a lot more camps than we have in the past. A lot of kids involved with that. And then Miss Annie in our Parks and Rec was able to get this ION grant where we collected $40,000 already. This last year, we're going to get another $40,000 from that grant to help fund some of these programs this following fiscal year, which is awesome. And that's just some examples of some of the programs that they do in that entity. We have lots of participation. It's pretty cool. Just today, talking about like our baking camp. There's tons of kids that take it. It's an incredible class that you got kids from all ages taking it. But what we're finding is they did a good job of, our staff did, of, okay, we invite a friend, right? So they could, for free, to come in and see the class for free. And you're getting kids that are signing up that have never been here or that just moved here because they don't have any friends, and they're making a lot of friends out of this camp, which is really, really cool. So you're seeing a lot of new kids in there, not a lot of repeat customers right away. And then we have additional revenues through court fines, scholarships. We have a miscellaneous revenue category that if it doesn't fit in any others, it goes there. Police mitigation and fire mitigation. So police and fire mitigation is a new thing that we started this last fall. Basically, we went to the Building Contractors Association because of our dilemma with only being able to realize a maximum of 8% through our new construction, and said to him, we need some help on figuring out how we're going to fund our police and our fire in our city. Because if we can't fund them, then we can't, there's no way that you can grow. This just doesn't make any sense to build houses if you can't service them or you impact the services on the existing residents here in Star. So they agreed to a police and fire mitigation fee that's paid at the time of every house that's built. And so we're already collected this year almost $500,000 this current fiscal year. And I can't remember the numbers. It's 1,000 something per. It's 1,020 or something like that for police and like 1,200 and something for fire. The one thing with police, and you'll see this when we talk on expenses tonight, we're using those mitigation fees to help offset the increases that we're doing here in the city of Star. We also have started the passport office in our city clerk's office upstairs. It's been very busy. I think he said he had 16 today passports that they issued, which is now we don't issue them. We process all the paperwork, ship it in, but we get a fee for every passport that we issue. We also get passport pictures if they choose to take them here. We get income from that as well. Then we're going to transfer in from our park impact funds about $740,000, and we're transferring in from our police mitigation fees about $560,000 for this year that we've already collected for this last year. So our total projected revenue is going to be about $13,442,000 this year. And just so everybody understands, only $1.8 million of that is coming from property taxes, which is only 13.91% of our total revenue. The other 87% of the revenue comes from all those other sources that are on there, right? Police mitigation fees, impact fees that are pass-throughs, state revenue sharing stuff, all those different things as where that income comes from. Okay? We'll move on to expenses. This is the big one this year. On law enforcement, we're increasing our budget to $2.8 million. We're investing in our public safety by adding 2 more patrol officers, 2 step team officers, and 1 detective. We have several metrics in our comprehensive plan that we look at as far as a 4-minute or less response time for our police on code 3 calls where they have to go lights and sirens. I think it's 18 per 1,000. I lost my thought here. Oh, crime rate, 18 per 1,000 on the crime rate. And also a proactive policing model, which helps us reduce that crime rate. So they're out there proactively policing. And in order to do that, we need to have 1 officer per 1,000, which is far lower than the national average of 1 or 2 per 1,000. Okay. However, we have different crime in our area compared to a lot of places in this country, right? And so we're adding these officers on there. Part of this will be paid for. Obviously, 1.8 million of our property taxes is going to fund these. The 560,000 of our mitigation fees is going to pay for this. Then we have that grant that we're hoping to get. That's what we're being told we're getting it. We're just trying to confirm it, which is about 120,000. And then the rest of the 200 something thousand is coming out of our general fund to pay for it this year. And we're also looking on our animal control. Currently, our animal control process is our police pick up the dogs and they take them to Star Vet over here. It's a good process, but we've grown so much that the police are spending too much of their time on animal control. So we're looking at a new contract, the Idaho Humane Society, where they will maintain and take care of the dog and cat issues that we have in our city. Okay. That contract initially, when we first started talking to them, was going to be about 140,000. It's down to 82,000 for this next year. So I think they're really eager on getting us on board with them. Besides, I think it's Garden City. That's the only one that doesn't have that. They have their own kennel there in their city that doesn't do animal control through the Humane Society. And then the other expenses, the mayor and city council rates stay the same. You can only increase the mayor and city council pays during election years. This is an election year and we're not increasing that. The clerks and treasurer's office is about 421,000 expenses for 5 folks. Planning and zoning and building department has 8 folks for about 650,000. Sports and recreation has 5 folks for about 287,000, and buildings and grounds has 8 for 575. We are adding in our building and grounds department another groundskeeper and then another custodial person here. we're at the point where it's hard for one person to clean all the buildings and restroom facilities we have. So we needed to add that person. These numbers up here include FICA, Medicare, workman's comp, public retirement, health insurance are all included in those costs right there. And that's a organizational chart of what the future can look like for the city of Star. Then we got expenses with our Ada County prosecutor. Being a dual county city, folks, that we have prosecuting services in the city of, or on the Ada County side, and we have prosecuting services on the county side. So our city's boundaries already from early 2006 already went to Kingsbury. You guys didn't know that. So we're now just doing some infill from there to the Kingsbury area. Ada County prosecutor number actually went down a little bit from last year. And this is based on, I think, the number of misdemeanors and whatnot that they have to prosecute in our area. The Canyon County prosecutor stays roughly the same. It's a lot lower because we don't have as much population over there. Our city attorney, by state statute, we have to have a city attorney, and we have one on contract for about $48,000 a year. An additional legal is we put $20,000 in there as a number. You never know who's going to sue you. You never know what kind of legal issues you're going to run into. We ran into an issue last year, in the last 2 years, where we were having a territorial dispute with the city of Middleton, and they chose to sue us. And it cost us over $100,000 last year in legal fees for that. It cost them almost $1 million, from what I understand, and they lost that lawsuit. So, well, they settled that lawsuit because they lost the election that they forced. We still have some engineering services, even though we have our engineer on staff, just in case we need them for $10,000. I don't think we even used them this last year for normal engineering services. And then on our IT department, we have Mr. Shane's not there now. I was going to point to him, but the Star Sewer and Water, Star Fire, and the City of Star are contracting our IT, not contracting. We got rid of the contract, and we hired a person to share this person here amongst the three entities to save costs. So we have a full-time person on staff here to help all of us with any IT issues that we may run into. And then our ICRIMP number has gone up quite a bit. It went up about $7,000 because of the claims and whatnot throughout the state. ICRIMP is an insurance to the state that most of the cities belong to. And then we got some expenses on our parks development. This next year, we're at the Pavilion Park, where you see the pickleball, where you see the splash pad being done. Hopefully, folks, if you're listening, in about 2 weeks, we'll have that splash pad open. Mr. Wheelock is here in person, so I'm going to wait for him to sit down here just real quick. So he made it. Oh, did you hang up on us? That's good. Where the splash pad is, we're going to be adding pickleball courts, basketball, and I don't think it's called bocce. That's stuck in my mind. It's a different kind of a game that's going to be added over there. A what? Gaga ball. Gaga ball, I guess. I forgot what that was. It's Gaga ball. At Hunters Creek Park, we're adding batting cages to that facility over there. At Star River House Ponds, you know that they're currently working on that now. There's going to be additional landscaping and pathways that's going to roll into the next budget year. And we acquired, the 946 South Main Street property. It's 1 acre right next to the Star River House. And we're going to be working on a parking lot over there. We need it. That place is so busy. People are parking up and down the streets. Probably not doing any favors to our police on enforcing stuff over there, right? Future development of parks. We're going to work on design this next year with the Trident Ridge Park, which is up in the foothills, and the Roselands Park, which is up in front of Roselands up there on that property that we've got the agreement with the school district for, I think it's 50 years, to where we could put our park up there. We have professional dues that we have to pay, which are about $33,000. This is for us belonging to organizations like Compass, Ada County Emergency Management, Treasure Valley Partnership, and whatnot. And that's all broken out in that packet, exactly what those dues are. And then on the committees, we have some very active committees in our city. We have the Transportation Committee, the Parks, Art, and Beautification Committee, Historical Committee. Let's see, do we have another one on there? That all have some projects and stuff that they're going to work on throughout this year for a total of $61,000. On the expenses side, this is some of the pass-through we were talking about on the building inspector. We're going to make a big change this year come January. We had that under contract, and we anticipated this year to pay that contract $480,000. We're going to bring that in-house, and you can save some money and add personnel if necessary to help service this people in our city without increasing any costs, because it's all right there in that inspector and building official side. The electrical inspector and the plumbing inspector about 94,000 each, and the mechanical inspector gets about 111. Theirs is a little different because they have these man-J's, which are a little different process that they have to do. Then we have those land use bond expenses. It's just a wash. We're 200 to 200. It's all based on what has to be bonded for and when it gets completed, when we have to issue the money back. Okay? What's that buzzing at me? Oh, okay. Impact fees, HHD impact fee will be given back what we collect. Starfire impact fee, we give everything back by $20 per, we have a processing fee that we're allowed to charge on Starfire of $20 per impact fee. Same thing with Canyon Highway District 4, we have a $20 processing fee for each one. Under state statute, we're not allowed to charge the ACHD impact fee, a processing fee for that. It's a whole different animal that we're dealing with. Sports and recreation, we do have some expenses with them on the sports side of $65,000. That's everything from referees to equipment to rentals of different facilities that they may have to use. And same thing with the classes and activities expenses for all the instructors, stuff that they have to buy for the different classes and whatnot. And then on the Safe Route to Star Middle School, we're budgeting $600,000 for that. We need to get that thing completed. That will go along. If you go straight down Plummer Road to that cornfield, which is actually owned by Star Cemetery, we're getting an easement with Star Cemetery to run our 10-foot path off the west side. And then the two developments that we approved, we required them to provide us with easements for that pathway as well. And so we're going to be able to put over 1,000 foot of sidewalk to get these kids off the street, because there's really no safe way to get to the middle school along the roadways. I know in years past, we've had some kids that got injured out there because of walking along that. So we don't want that to happen. So that'll happen this fall. Part of that $600,000 expense is the $250,000 we're receiving. It's paying that $250,000 grant will come out of that. So we'll be spending about $350,000 of our own money to pay for that. Then we have the downtown parking plan we're going to look at. We're going to try to get something put in place to see if there's a good place for us to build a parking lot. We are going to lose all the parking along Highway 44 sooner than later, probably in 30 days is my guess. ITD is approving the restriping from Star Road all the way up here in front of, all the way to Cosmo actually, to get us our 5 lanes in here to start spreading out traffic. As everybody knows, traffic is a nightmare through downtown Star during rush hour timeframes. And then in the future, they're going to come in here and widen the rest of that to Highway 16. And then we'll have a 5-lane segment from Canada Road all the way down into Boise. So, and then on buildings and grounds side. So on the building side, we have a $53,000 budget. It's increased a little bit. On the grounds, $85,000 has increased. Equipment has gone up as well. Our tools budget has gone down. Our repair budget has gone up. We're seeing a lot more repairs happening. Our uniform budget has gone down. Our landscaping budget's gone down, primarily because we went from bark to a perma-bark style system. So we're not buying bark everywhere. And we're not having to buy gravel like we've had to for like our gravel parking lots that we've had with this Highway 44 widening. We were able to take the millings that they took off of that and utilize those in those 2 parking lots, which are going to last a long time as they heat up and pack down. So, okay. Capital expenses, we have some equipment and general building expenses. We need to do, I don't know if you guys came in on the front, but this concrete in the front is failing. It's uneven and it's not ADA compliant right now. So we need to get this completed and fixed out here in the front. We need to start looking at painting all of our facilities that are older. And then we have a vehicle that we need to replace in the parks and building maintenance crew. The old Dodge is not faring well. It's not doing well. And then that storage space where the Connexes are down there at the Hunters Creek Park, we're going to enclose that. It's got a cover on it. We're going to close it for more feasible storage space for equipment and stuff out there. So in conclusion, STAR has been and remains fiscally conservative. We have no debt, no bonds. We have a healthy balance in our savings account in case of any recession that we may be facing. Our police are paid for with property taxes and our police mitigation fees primarily. Only 13.5% or 13.9% of our revenue is generated from property taxes. Our parks construction, folks, is paid for with impact fees and not our taxes, just so everybody's aware. However, we have to pay for the maintenance of those parks, and that's utilized not through property taxes, but through that revenue sharing funding model that we utilize. We've done the first of its kind proportionate share agreement, and we have funded this project out here on ITD, which is first of its kind in the state of Idaho. And we have actually other entities looking at us and seeing how this is working for us so they can get some projects completed in their communities as well. And then we have police and fire mitigation fees that help with public safety. Our goal has always been to find ways for growth, to pay for growth if we're going to have growth, right? And I think we do a really, really good job of that here as a community and as a city. In that packet, it explains a lot more of this stuff in detail. And I think we're done here, Ryan. So I'm gonna move this back and I'm gonna turn this, we need to get the microphone for that. And then we're gonna turn this over to you guys if you have some questions and stuff that you wanna ask and the council can ask as well. Cool. Thanks for joining us, Kevin. And I think that was done in record time. No. Okay. Well, I'm just going to ask. Does anybody want to come and ask questions? Okay, absolutely. Do me a favor. Let's grab that sheet out there so we can put your name and stuff on here. We'll have you come up here to ask questions on there. Yeah, absolutely. Yep. Hang on one sec for us, though. Let me get reset here.
Mayor Chadwick.
Yes, sir.
So while we're getting that sheet there, I just took one note on your presentation that I'd like to clarify.
Okay.
The reliable income and mandatory expenses. I think the way it presented, at least what I heard, is that they had to match. I just wanted to clarify that, or maybe let you clarify that.
Yeah, we want them to match as close as possible, but they're not always going to match, right?
Right.
We want to make certain that we have the income there to pay for that. That's why we have money in savings to help offset that stuff in case we have.
Yeah.
Because in times, if the economy goes bad, obviously revenue sharing is going to go down, right? You're not going to get, as people don't purchase, you're not going to have sales tax. You won't have 100% of that revenue share on there. Property taxes are what they are. Not everybody pays when the economy is bad, so you're going to have some lag in there as well. So we may budget ourselves for 1.8. We may only collect 1.5 in a down economy, but at some time in the future, you will get that 300,000 back as the property sells or whatever happens on that, right? So yes, did I answer that for you?
Yeah. I appreciate that, because I just wanted to be clear that that's more of a philosophy of yourself, Mayor, and our council, to make sure that we're not putting the city into a position where the services that we have to provide are reliant upon revenue that may not be there.
Correct. Thank you. Good clarification. All right. So do you got the sign up sheet then, Ryan? Oh, do you got your name and address on there from? Okay, cool. So what's your name, sir? Pablo. So give your first name and last name and state your address for the record for us, please.
You hear me? Check in. Mike.
Yes, sir.
Mike. All right, good. My name is Pablo Sclafani. My address is 11391 West Threadgrass, City of Star, 83669. All right. I just moved here from California. I'm happy to be here. I'm very happy, I should say. Anyway, I do a little bit of finances. So one of the things that I always like to invest is in good cities. And you said something that you're not issuing any bonds. What would it take for the city of Star to start issuing bonds? Obviously, such a reputable city, people like myself, we want to put some money in there and help the city out. And at the same time, we get a good return.
So when I say that, I meant we don't go purchase bonds to pay for projects. So we try to save for the projects and pay for them that way, or utilize our impact fees to do it. That's where I'm talking about. With
Right.
bonds. Not selling bonds or anything like that, or
Okay, so-
having people provide money to give bonds out. No, we don't do that here.
Okay.
No, that's a great question because that's an interesting concept, honestly.
I mean, I
So
would like to invest and put some money there. It's a
Hey, we'll
great
take
city.
it.
It's growing and I know that return would be great.
we can sit down and chat.
What's your
and we
interest
can Look
rate?
at some different stuff as well. I mean, we have stuff all the way from even the stuff for our youth, right? I mean, I think that's the most important thing for us is making sure that they're active so we don't have them going on the other side of the dark side of the law, right? And keep them active. So anything we can do,
Legit.
all legit, right? So I think we could probably find out some options if you're interested in helping
Yeah,
out.
absolutely. I mean, I know people that know people.
You know people. So hang on one sec. I think Councilman Nielsen was going to say something. I cut him off.
The only thing that comes to mind is we'd want to make sure that we consult with Chris. I don't know if that's even possible for an entity like a city in the state of Idaho. I think our state law has to allow you to do that.
Well, it doesn't have to be a bond, but it could be a donation towards a project, right?
Yeah, certainly donations. Yeah.
Yeah. It doesn't have to. Be a
What he's
bond.
talking about is an investment
Is it return?
where he invests and gets a return
Oh.
on his investment.
Correct.
Well, your investment is living here in Star.
Absolutely. No doubt
your
about
return.
it. But obviously for other people, that'd be like, hey, that's such a
No,
great
I see what
city.
you're saying. So I got you. We'll have to ask and see if that's even legal in the city of Idaho.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. That was my question.
Appreciate you. Thank you. We'll put Sue in charge of it, all that. Anybody else have a question or anything? Miss Teresa, you come up here. We'll get you on just write your name and address and stuff on there for me, please, and nicely.
Just have two simple questions.
So, yeah, you gotta, real quick, we gotta pull it down the microphone to you so we can get people online. It doesn't,
Oh, there we go. I noticed on the proposed budget that we are paying $8,000 to Valley Regional Transit. Do we know how many people utilize that from Star?
so I will tell you this, nobody does. What we're paying for, so in the past, Councilman Nielsen and I had this battle with Valley Regional Transit. This is $8,000 for us to maintain our seat at the table, right? So we can have voting decisions with them. If we were to utilize the services, it'd be upward of 20,000 in today's dollars. At the time that we pulled it off, we chose as a council in the past is maintain our seat at the table, but not have that service provided here in the city of Star because we only had 3 or 4 people riding that bus, not all the time, right? So that's what that 8,000 is for.
Mayor, if I could add.
Councilman Nielsen has some more.
Yeah, 8 years ago, it was about $20,000. And I did the math at the time. You could buy a reliable used car for all of the people who are riding the bus. The city could buy the car and pay their fuel for about 6 months.
Yeah.
For that same cost. Today, given our population increase, I think we'd be upwards of, closer to $40,000 to $50,000.
Yeah.
But I do feel that it's important that we have that seat at the table with voting rights on their council. And if there was demand for public transportation in the city of Star, I think we'd be open to looking at that, but it just didn't make sense.
At this time, it still doesn't make sense, even with the folks that are moving in, based off of the discussions I've had with them and their experiences with it in other areas. However, that may change, right? We may need some of that as VRT. So VRT has gone through a change this year with a new executive director, which may change the whole coursework of that entire organization, right? So we'll kind of wait and see what happens to see what we're going to do in the future from there.
Okay.
And sorry, one more thing.
Go ahead, Councilman Nielsen.
One of the issues that I recall really being forefront for me was that the Valley Regional Transit is an organization that's mandated by the state to exist, and the state doesn't fund it. So year over year, the legislature fails to fund that. So VRT's response then is to go around to all the municipalities and other taxing districts and levy this fee on them per se and try to fund themselves that way. So it's an organization that if they charge what it took to ride the bus, it would be like a $14 ticket. And so it's heavily subsidized. And there's just a number of problems from start to finish. And as part of our way to help highlight that problem and try to get it rectified is to not continue to fund the problem, but to raise awareness.
And so is this just in the valley?
Yes.
or-
Yeah, VRT is just in our valley region is just in the Treasure Valley.
One other thing was, what is the impact fee committee?
So there's an impact fee committee that approves our capital improvement plan. And so it's the state legislature changed the formation of that committee on the makeup on what it has to look like. And so Chris is putting all that stuff together for us so we can invite folks to be part of that committee. It's not going to be the old committee that was there because that makeup is not allowed anymore on there. And so they, for the capital improvement plan, they provide the basically, if it's like we were doing $2,050 for every impact fee for every house, they'll determine that funding, what that funding formula needs to look like based off a set of guidelines that the state provides and our capital improvement plan. So like if we want to do a rec center, right, we need to get that updated in our capital improvement plan so we can start collecting money for that. When you charge impact fees, you can only hold on to them for 8 years by state statute. And if you don't use it that by 8 years, you have to give it back to the developer.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And so you're saying that there is no committee right now?
No, it's going to be
To
formed,
be
correct.
formed
Yep,
next year.
to go back through and go over this. Greg is going through the same process with Star Fire on reforming his committee for his impact fee. Canyon Highway District 4 just did their impact fee committee a year and a half ago or so. And they're going to come back and reorganize as well based on the new law. ACHD is completely different. It's a different animal. They don't follow entirely the same rules.
Their own rules.
They play by them.
Yeah.
Okay. All right, that's all I got.
I love you, Teresa. Thank you.
Man,
We've
see,
gotten
I
better over
was
the
really-
years.
I was really gentle this time.
You were.
You've been
Yeah.
very kind. Thank you.
Well, the
Sorry.
The mayor answered a lot of my questions the other day.
Yeah.
So, and that helped.
Yeah. Go
Mayor
ahead,
Chapman.
Jennifer, yep.
So regarding that impact fee committee,
Mhm.
would that also include if we made changes to the park impact fee?
That's what that's
Yeah,
for. Yep.
yeah.
So it would make, basically, we would present them with ideas on the things that we want to get done.
Yeah.
They would create the capital improvement plan that you would approve. And then the fees would come, deciding what those fees would be. And remember, it's all based off of new growth,
Right.
right? The impact fees are going to have to pay for the new stuff, not old stuff. So yeah, let's say it's a $10 million rec center, for instance, right? The impact fees may only pay for 5 million of that because that rec center is going to be utilized by, I'm just throwing numbers out there, right? So 5 million of it would have to be funded with a different source and 5 million of it could be funded with a park impact fee.
Yep.
And we can utilize this for pathways. I mean,
Yeah,
basically
right,
what they're
right.
going to do is they'll look at all of this stuff because we got a pathways master plan that when that thing gets done,
Yeah.
will be included into this project.
Yep.
With them.
All right, thank you.
Okay. Councilman Wheeler?
I could just see Alonzo. He was like thinking that other $5 million where it could come from.
From investments.
Yeah.
Right. Elena, Greg, do you guys have anything you want to ask? Miss Sue? Yeah, absolutely. No one signed up, and this is one of those important things that I don't think anybody should be left out if they want to talk about it. This is our city's budget, right? And we can read the writing, right? On everybody? Miss Sue?
That's right. So thank you so much. It looks like Star is in a really strong financial position, which is
Oh,
great.
pull that microphone up a little
Can
bit.
you
There
hear
we
me
go.
better?
Yes, sir. There we
Thank
go. Can we-
So
Okay.
I was going to
And
say,
don't forget your name and address.
Oh, name and address, please. Yes.
I'll get that. Thanks. I was going to say Star was in a great financial position, which is wonderful. It looks like we've got $21.4 million in cash. I was curious how the city decides where it invests its funds and are there opportunities that it can earn a greater yield?
Well, Jacob, we'll let him talk about that.
So currently we have an 18-month CD, which our ICCU turned around and they came and talked to us about that. It's like 5.25 or something like that. The LGIP is outperforming that right now. So I'm trying to move all the money into the LGIP where we get $10,000 to $15,000 of interest a month.
So
just
she's
on some
asking
of
though,
those.
is there opportunities to invest it in other things, I think, right?
No,
Sort of.
necessarily.
Yeah, I looked at the statute and saw the opportunities that we did have. It looked like the $100,000 of interest income that we're budgeting for next year is about 0.5% of our $21.4 million in cash.
Okay, so let's,
So we're going to spend some of that cash in the.
right, that number's revolving. So that's a shot. I should have said that. It's a point in time,
Right,
right? We're going to be utilizing some of that to pay bills as we go along,
right.
back and forth. But we do
Yeah.
have actual funds sitting in CDs that are not utilized for
Correct.
that in the LGIP.
So yeah, that's one of my things is to make sure that we get as much interest as we can. It does have to be in a financial institution that's
In the state of Idaho.
technically even in the city of Star.
Mm.
So we have to have some funds in those. We don't have to have a majority of them in there, but we just have to utilize some of those financial institutions.
What's the yield on LGIP roughly?
That one varies.
So LGIP, just real quick, LGIP is called a local government investment pool.
Yeah,
Just
so
so everybody's
the
aware.
state of Idaho turns around and they take all the funds every night and they reinvest them into bonds wherever they feel necessary, and then they share it back to us the next night. So similar to our sweep accounts with ICCU and First Interstate, they do the same thing. They leave 400,000 in one account and 250,000 in another account, and then they sweep them back and forth overnight, and we get massive amounts of interest.
And I know you're a financial person, and I would love to sit down and hear your ideas.
Mhm.
If you have some, seriously, if you have some, to see if we can do it,
Mhm.
because let's leverage what we have, right? And make as much as we can on the interest.
Thank you
Does that
very
work?
much.
Yeah. So let's set up an appointment. Miss Sue, does that work? Yeah, okay. Yeah, you gotta come up here and so people,
Harold Wiley again. I'm a 48-year retired banker, so that always where money goes. I kind of like to know, but how are those wrapped through some kind of a state insurance fund?
The banks are insured and collateralized up to, I believe, 500,000. And then ICCU has a different kind of mechanism because they're
but it's not through the state.
it's not, it's through the federal
There
government.
isn't a state guarantee fund that guarantees
Correct.
funds.
The local government investment pool that is guaranteed by the state of Idaho's credit.
Okay. Okay. So you feel comfortable with where it is, that no chance of loss and many.
Correct. Yeah.
Idaho's pretty strong financially as a whole. Yeah.
Yeah, it
as
is.
a whole.
I noticed that it's not like California that I can.
Right, right. Okay. Is that it then? Anybody online? Dana? Oh, yeah. Councilman Hershey, have any questions if you're still there?
Yeah, I'm still here. I don't have any questions, just a comment.
Okay.
You mentioned traffic. Why don't you come out to where I am for a few days? You'll start complaining about traffic for a while. California is crazy.
Well, he's in California right now.
Yep.
So Davis Part, he's done the largest contract for helicopter firefighting. You know, I think it was $1 billion, and he's got to go on. He gets called out all the time. So he was expected to be here, but he got called out. So thankfully he was able to call in from where he's at. So we may lose him at any time, just so everybody's aware.
No, I'm good for now.
Okay.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments, Miss Jennifer?
Sure, thank you. So a question and a couple of points that I just wanted to add onto your presentation. The question was, you mentioned the Roseland Park and Trident Ranch Park development,
Uh-huh.
but we haven't budgeted any money for that. So
This is
will you
going to,
explain?
yeah, we're not building it next year. We're going to put together some committees to design them.
Yep.
For next year,
Yep.
right? And then we can bring it into the budget in following years. Yeah.
That was my vision as
Yeah.
well. I just wanted to make sure that
Yep.
I was thinking correctly. And then a couple of points. You went really through it fast through your presentation there.
I get yelled at by everybody that I should not spend 2 hours talking.
So a couple of points that I just wanted to, again, I guess, call out was, first of all, like overall, our budget in general, we're what, $1 million less than we were last year.
Right.
But last year we did make a big investment into Highway 44.
Mhm.
So we budgeted for 3 million to be spent on that project. So if we take out that 3 million from last year's, our budget increase this year is around 25%.
But we also increased our police budget
Right. And
by a lot.
Yeah. So let me finish.
Yep.
So, I think the citizens in Star, and us as well, like we recognize and, support, a strong police presence and safety. And so that difference in budget for this year, a third of it is going directly to our to more police services. So I just wanted to kind of point that
Sure.
piece out.
Okay.
The other thing is I'd like to add that I personally am super excited to see that we finally have and are getting a safe route to the Star Middle School. I have been just wanting this for so long and talking about it and asking for it everywhere that I go. So I'm so happy that we're finally going to make that happen this year. Let's see. Oh, and then the other point that I wanted to bring up, just our overall, financial where we're at. It looks like from your your summary of all of your accounts. So we've grown 48% from last year for all of
On
our money.
Yeah.
Yep.
And savings.
Yep. So I think that, that shows that we are, acting very fiscally responsible. But still, we've made a lot of improvements to our park system this year. We've added more staff. And so, I just want to applaud the mayor and staff because I think that, we're moving in a fantastic direction.
Well, and I just want to add, we we've adjusted our fees last year too, right? We went through a big deep dive and made our fees more in line with what's happening as allowed by law, right? And so now we're seeing some of the benefits of that. That's going to help us in the long term as a city. Yeah.
And I guess I would like to see in the future, hopefully over this next year, we do have a new accounting software, but it would be really nice to see our quarterly, year-to-date expenses so that we can, compare it to what we're planning here and making sure that we're meeting our goals and staying, within our budget.
Okay. All right. Anything else?
Mayor Chadwick.
Councilman Nielsen?
So similar to Councilwoman Salmonson, really just wanted to highlight one other thing that I really appreciated, and you called it out too, Mayor, but the reduction in the ratio of property taxes being paid from commercial to residential.
Or from residential to commercial, you mean?
Right.
The other way, yeah.
Well, any way you look at it, it's been years that we've been talking about this. The healthy city ratio we're not there yet, right? It's more like 70-30, 70 residential, 30 commercial. The fact that we've dropped below 90, I think is a major step forward for this city. And look, we know here as well as anybody the impact that growth has on this area. And it's nice that given those impacts, when we can see some of the positive impacts that come along with it as well. With that commercial growth comes that shift of tax burden that we will all feel in our pockets, and we will feel as the city of Star continues to grow and develop out into maturity. When we hit that point, when there's very little growth to no growth happening. And we're still able to fund a proper ratio of police to citizens and still able to maintain our parks and keep them beautiful and keep up with all the other obligations that we have as a city. What we're doing now, that's an evidence of it. And I've been waiting for years to see that evidence come to bear. And it's a proud moment here tonight to see that number drop below 90%.
And just so we've had about approximately 21 new businesses that have hit the tax rolls. We have about 27 more in some phase of construction that will hit the tax rolls over the next year or two. So that's going to help tremendously, in my opinion,
Yeah.
with that ratio.
And then, the last thing's also kind of to do with police and fire, but, Mayor, you mentioned House Bill 389 and some of the ways that steps that you and your staff and the council have taken to try to help mitigate that. And, we've found a great partner in the Building Contractors Association to help provide some fees to make up for the deficiencies of the House Bill 389 that, put us here. The unfortunate part of that is that we collect that fee now, and if we don't resolve or have resolution in this state with House Bill 389 in 4 or 5 years, that mitigation is no longer going to help. And so, it's just something that I want people to be aware of that. It really matters how they engage in the state legislative session when it comes to things like property taxes. And, it really matters to look at a city's budget and understand how a city works and how growth impacts things, because we don't hear in the media or even at the State House, there's not a lot of understanding. We don't hear the whole story. This is where the rubber meets the road. And people need to understand the precarious scenario that the cities of Idaho are in because of House Bill 389. And it's something that's got to be fixed. And the people of Idaho are going to need to demand that of our legislature.
Okay.
My soapbox on that's done.
Any further comments or anything? Okay, so it's 8:03 and we're going to close the public hearing. And then basically tonight you guys are going to move to approve, and then in 2 weeks at our next public or city council meeting, you will approve an ordinance for the property tax side. Plus we still have to do the ordinance that we're not taking foregone as well, I think, right? Was that gone away? Okay. All right. Okay.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
I'm going to make a motion that we approve the budget as presented here tonight, and direct staff to once the ordinance is made official to provide to the state controller's office a copy of your presentation as our 2023-2024 budget.
Okay. Got it. We got a motion. We got a second. It's tentatively, well, it's approved, but the ordinance will officially approve it. Yeah.
I'll second.
Okay, we got a motion, a second by Councilwoman Salmonson. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Nielsen,
Aye.
Salmonson,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Hershey.
Aye. Yes.
All right, still there. That's a good thing. All right, thank you. So we're going to move on to item 6. The action items for ordinances that we have to approve tonight. So we need to introduce them, suspend the rules, and then approve them. So who wants to introduce and suspend the rules? Yes, please.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
I move to introduce ordinance 385-2023, development agreement and Hood Rats rezone, and that pursuant to Idaho Code Section 50-902, the rule requiring an ordinance to be read on 3 different days with one reading to be in full be dispensed with, and that ordinance number 385-2023 be considered after reading once by title only.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Nielsen,
Aye.
Salmonson,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Hershey.
Yes, aye.
Okay, that motion carries.
You,
Now we need to approve the ordinance.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilwoman Salmonson.
I'll move to approve ordinance number 385-2023 for Hood Rats rezone
Development agreement.
and development agreement. I'm just reading
Oh,
that.
sorry. Okay.
An ordinance rezoning certain real property located in the city of Star, Ada County, Idaho. Did I miss something?
No, you're good.
Okay, let me start over. An ordinance rezoning certain real property located in the city of Star, Ada County, Idaho, more specifically located at 11525 West State Street in Star, Idaho, Ada County parcel R18427011715. The property is owned by Newell and Elizabeth Price, establishing the zoning classification of the rezoned property as Central Business District with a development agreement CBD-DA on approximately 0.19 acres, directing that certified copies of this ordinance be filed as provided by law, providing for related matters and providing for an effective date.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Aye.
Salmonson,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Hershey.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. On the item 6B, we need to introduce and suspend the rules for the next one.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
I move to introduce ordinance 375-2023, development agreement with a development agreement for Mattenford subdivision annexation, and that pursuant to Idaho Code Section 50-902, the rule requiring an ordinance to be read on 3 different days with one reading to be in full be dispensed with, and that ordinance number 375-2023 be considered after reading once by title only.
Okay, we got a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Nielsen,
Aye.
Salmonson,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Hershey.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. On to approve the ordinance.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilwoman Solomon.
I'll move to approve ordinance number 375-2023 and development agreement for Mattenford subdivision annexation, an ordinance annexing to the city of Star certain real property located in the unincorporated area of Ada County, Idaho, more specifically located at 3605 North Pollard Lane in Star, Idaho. Ada County parcels R5455720020 and contiguous to the city of Star. The property is owned by North Pollard Lane LLC, establishing the zoning classification of the annexed property as residential with a development agreement R-3-DA of development of approximately 5.0 acres, directing that certified copies of this ordinance be filed as provided by law, providing for related matters and providing for an effective date.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Nielsen,
Aye.
Salmonson,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Hershey.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. On to item 6C,
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilman Nielsen.
I move to introduce ordinance 384-2023 and that pursuant to Idaho Code Section 50-902, the rule requiring an ordinance to be read on 3 different days with one reading to be in full be dispensed with, and that ordinance number 384-2023 be considered after reading once by title only.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Nielsen,
Aye.
Salmonson,
Aye.
Wheelock,
Aye.
Hershey.
Here. Aye. Excuse me. I'm sorry.
Okay, that motion carries. On to
Okay.
the approval.
All right, Mayor Chadwick.
Councilwoman Solomon.
I'll move to approve ordinance number 384-2023 and development agreement for Red Barn Inn rezone. An ordinance rezoning certain real property located in the city of Star, Ada County, Idaho, more specifically located at 309 South Main Street in Star, Idaho, Ada County parcel R18427011715. property is owned by Lay Family Living Trust, 08162005, establishing the zoning classification of the rezoned property as Central Business District with a development agreement, CBD-DA, on approximately 0.70 acres, directing that certified copies of this ordinance be filed as provided by law, providing for related matters and providing for an effective date.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion, a second by Councilman Wheelock. Any further discussion? Hearing none, roll call.
Nielsen,
Aye.
Hershey,
Aye.
Salmonson,
Hi.
Wheelock.
Aye.
Threw everybody a curveball on that one. All right, that motion carries. On to item 6D, the Master Pathways Agreement with the Middleton Mill Ditch Company and Middleton Irrigation Association, Inc., the City of Star. Did you want to talk about this one?
You can go. Are you ready?
Yeah,
Yeah,
either
go
way.
for it.
Yeah, okay. So Chris has been working with the Middleton Mill Ditch Company and Middleton Irrigation Agreement to come up with a master agreement for us for pathways along certain canals. And this agreement has been vetted out by Chris, our city attorney, and the city and the attorney for the ditch company. So what we're here for you tonight is for you to approve this agreement so we can sign it and move forward with that. Any questions,
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilwoman?
is Chris online?
No, Chris is
No,
on a
okay.
cruise in the Mediterranean somewhere.
Wish I was. So I have read through that. We've gone through multiple versions of this, and I went through this last version. Everything looks great. All of our changes were included. I did have a question though regarding, let's see, on page 4 in the master pathway agreement, if we could bring that up. It's talking about, I'll just go ahead and read it. So
What item?
4A towards the bottom, right there.
Oh, right here, okay.
Yeah. All right, so it's talking about, so each pathway shall be constructed. Sorry. So my question, the last sentence there, so saying that the city may condition the require developer landowner to perform the initial construction and installation of the pathway, which is agreed, so long as the city accepts the pathway and the future operation and maintenance of said pathway. My question is, what happens if, where we might have a HOA maintain that pathway?
So that's going to be up to the developer to come up with their own agreement with the ditch company. This is not pertaining to those HOA pathways.
Right.
This is only pertaining to the master pathway system for the city of Star that we would be responsible for.
And so all of the pathways that are going to have this agreement, they're all going to be the city of Star
Right.
pathways. Okay. All right. Just want to make sure we are all
Currently in today's environment,
on that.
yeah, the developers, they end up having their own master agreement or an agreement, licensing agreement, I guess, with the ditch companies in order to put pathways along their ditches for HOA use.
Yeah. And then the HOA maintains.
Correct.
it. And so these ones we will maintain, and which I am in full support of. And I think that, we're going to have to do that.
Right.
But I just.
And there's only certain,
Sure.
remember, there's only certain canals and ditches, drainage ditches that we're going to be able to put these on anyway.
Okay. And then the other item on page 8, 6B, there's just a statement in there. It was probably in there originally. I maybe just missed it, but just so we're aware, this agreement is saying that we're going to have to, put trash cans and, maintain that. So as we are thinking about the future pathway, parkway, and the funding and what's going to be needed, just so that that's in your mind.
It's on our
That
minds, and it's going to have to, similar to what Eagle does when they have somebody that they drive around, maintain all that stuff. It's going to be similar.
Yep. Yeah. So
Any others?
nope, that was it. I think it's ready to go.
Okay, Councilman Wheelock?
you talked about having HOAs take care of some and city have some. What percentage is the city going to be responsible for?
It's gonna-
in this master pathway program.
Once it's going out, it should be going out to bid here pretty quick to put that master pathway plan together, which is going to identify exactly where our pathways are going to go. Once we figure that out, I can't tell you today. But this bid and this document will tell us as we move forward.
I was just curious because we talk about all these HOAs across the whole city and every subdivision's got their own little plan.
Mhm.
I was curious what, if the city knew where they were thinking was going to end up our responsibility. Because everything has an HOA or most everything. that
Well, it's
I'm
gonna-
aware of.
So when we have that master plan on whichever canals or drainage ditches that we're going to put our pathways on, we have already, in some of our development agreements, said that these have to be public pathways. So it's most likely some of those are going to come to Star.
Right.
So the ones that we've agreed to have a
Right.
public pathway versus just a subdivision
Right.
having a pathway.
Right. Because we'll have public easements built in to the development agreement for those pathways. Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
it could be a lot,
Yeah, it is.
but that's why we're going through this, going out to bid with this master pathways and trailways plan for the city of Star. And we can cut it down, we can do whatever we need.
Yep, and I think it is
It's prudent.
important, that we're doing this planning in advance as these, before the developments. So we can, put these things in place and
Right.
have help with the construction of them. But we also need to think about how we're going to maintain them. So that's what this.
And that should be part of this whole
this
plan.
Master pathway plan.
Is going
that
to
we're
talk
gonna-
about the maintenance. Then we can take that plan as part of the impact fee committee and create an impact fee even to help build these things that are not connected.
How many little Kubotas we're going to need to take care of them?
Right.
Right.
Garbage cans
Yeah.
can be paid for with that, right? Things like that. Okay,
Thank you.
any further questions?
Mayor,
No,
Ch-
yep.
sorry, I did have one more. So on page,
You're out.
uh,
Okay, go ahead. Sorry.
page 9.
Page 9.
Page 9, item E. So we did correct this item in our last version. So item E, the city shall be allowed to use any pathway half hour before sunrise and a half hour after sunset. I think we should change that to, use any pathway during daylight hours. And
So the half hour before sunrise and half hour before sunset is actually a state thing that it's utilized in the fishing game.
right, but to me, that kind of reads that that's the only time that you can use it, not during the daylight hours. So I would just suggest adding that.
Well, I don't know if
Does
we can
anyone
just
else
add, so here's the
agree?
deal.
So
No, because it says on any day. So it's not any night.
So if I could just add to that, the fish and game regulation that this comes from actually takes into account that it is light before the official
Daylight.
daylight time. So, and I'm thinking specifically for like, duck hunting. Because you can start hunting a half hour before sunrise and then they publish there's an official time of sunrise for the day. It's pretty light by then.
Yeah, and I'm in agreement. Like, I think that we should have it open before and after sunrise, half an hour. But just want to make, I don't know if it's just my interpretation of it, maybe it is, but
I'm just going to say we leave it.
okay.
No,
Honestly.
nobody will wonder whether it should be night or day.
Yeah,
And we could create an ordinance for that
an ordinance. Oh, yeah,
in our code,
Yeah,
yeah.
pathway use.
Okay.
Okay,
that's a good point.
any further discussion? Councilman Hershey, if you're still there,
Yep, I'm still here, but I don't have any
any
questions.
further questions or anything?
Mm-mm.
Okay, hearing none, I entertain a motion to approve that agreement.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilwoman Summerson,
I'll move to approve the master pathway agreement with Middleton Mill Ditch Company, Middleton Irrigation Association, and the city of Star.
okay, we got a motion to approve. Do we have a second?
The second,
We have a motion, a second by Councilman Wheelock. That he could drive 800 miles today to get us a second on everything. Any further discussion? Okay, hearing none, roll call.
Nielsen,
Aye.
Salmonson,
I,
Wheelock. Aye. Hershey.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. We'll get that back to Chris.
Mayor Chadwick,
Councilwoman?
sorry. And I just want to say, the Transportation Committee has worked very hard on this. And so just, to recognize their
Mhm.
effort and staff has helped on this project as well. So we've been working on it for probably a year and a half, 2
And they
years.
got a meeting tomorrow?
Yeah, and we have a
They're gonna
meeting
report- they're gonna
tomorrow.
Report on this tomorrow?
Yeah.
Okay,
Yep. So excited to see that finally we got
we're there.
the agreement.
Okay, now we're going to move on to item 6E, the photocopier leases. You have that up? So do you want to talk about it or you want me to talk about it, Ryan? Either one. So we are, our copier machine down here in City Hall is old, out of date. We want to get into a new lease for a new one for here at one as well over at the rec center. And it's basically, what are we saving? Like a penny a sheet or something from what our original agreement says. And then we have better service because they can monitor it online come here and replace things as needed. But it's time for an update. I don't know if you saw even the printouts that I did. You got streaks and all this kind of stuff that happened throughout the printouts that it's not very viable. You guys need to approve it for us
Mr.
to
Mayor?
execute it. And it's a suggestion of the 5-year lease. Just real quick, hang on, sorry. And then, because Miss Jennifer and I were talking about it, because we do have one upstairs, but we already have a lease on that one for 5 years. We're 4.5 years into it. So when we get towards the 5 years, we can roll a new one in with all one agreement together. Okay, go ahead, sorry.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we would approve the photocopier leases for a term of 5 years.
Okay, we got a motion. We have a second.
Mr. Mayor,
Councilman Nielsen.
I second.
All right, got a new seconder. We got a motion and a second. Any further discussion?
I just wanted to make sure Kevin seconded the motion.
Okay, you got a Kevin, not an Ann. Hey, roll call.
Nielsen,
Aye.
Salmonson,
I,
Wheelock. Aye. Hershey.
Aye.
Okay, that motion carries. Thank you. So I just want to thank everybody for participating in tonight's budget hearing. As a reminder, we will be approving the ordinance on August 15th, I think, meeting. Is that correct? If anybody has any questions, my door is always open at the city hall to come and talk to me about whatever on the budget or any other item. So just want to put that out